Guys, Miss Terry blessed me with this spicy boudin kolache. When I was eating it, I almost teared up. Oh man, this is so good. What's up, everyone? Pastor Aaron here, and I'm excited to start this new series on the book of Acts. I'm going to attempt to work my way through the book of Acts with these videos, so bear with me. We're going to be all over the place. We're going to be looking at the early acts of the church. So if you're following along with me, you need to pause the video right now and read chapter 1. Chapter 1 of the book of Acts. Go ahead and pause it. Okay, if you've read Acts chapter 1, now we're going to go down into it. I'm excited for what's to come and also to unpack this book. It's really cool. So the author of the book is presumably the beloved physician Luke. He's supposedly also the author of the book Luke, the Gospel Luke, and also supposedly the author of the book of Acts. So there's a little bit debate about whether or not it was Luke, but because their writing is so similar between the Gospel of Luke and the book of Acts, that we're assuming that it is the same author. And Luke, he was not part of the original 12, but he was more of a Hellenic Jew, which means he was a Greek who converted to Judaism. And so he denied all paganism, and he embraced Judaism and all the sacrifices and traditions of being a Jew. So he was considered a Jew. So he was a Greek turned Jew and turned Christian. And so we believe that he was the author of the book of Acts. And so the topics that are going to be covered in this book, we're going to be learning about a Jewish church, the first church that was established in Jerusalem, and learning about how the Holy Spirit moved through them and revealed revelation about the gospel message of Jesus Christ. Now, you have to keep in mind also, when this church was first established, they didn't have a Bible. They didn't have no New Testament. All this stuff was completely new to them. The acts of the Holy Spirit, they had no idea what in the world was going on. So they only had the Spirit to open their eyes and give them revelation about what this new gospel truly meant for the entire world. And so we're going to be looking at this early church and seeing how they were feeling things out, what this theology was, what this was all going to be about. So there were a few mistakes, and there were a few really good things that came about from this, or many good things that came about from this. And so we're excited to see that. And so if you look at the first verse in the chapter there, you will see Luke is addressing Theophilus. Now, who is Theophilus? We don't really know, but there are two main assumptions of who this Theophilus could be. First off, it could be the first name of a Roman official that he's addressing. Theophilus was apparently a pretty common name back then, or it was also the title ascribed to a fellow scholar, because Theophilus means friend of God or searcher of wisdom. And so it could have either been a Roman official, or it could have just been a title that Luke was assigned to this person he was writing to, either or. And so in the first part of the chapter, we see Jesus, and he's talking to his disciples and saying, yes, John baptized with water, but you're going to be baptized with my Holy Spirit, with God's Holy Spirit, and you're going to be endued with power from on high. And the Greek word for power there is dunamis, and that's where we get our word dynamite, and that means living, active, powerful power, explosive power. And so they're going to be endued with power, with dunamis power from on high, when his Holy Spirit comes and just indwells the disciples. And we see that later on in Acts chapter 2, but we're not going to look at that right now. But not only are they going to be baptized with water, but they're going to be baptized with his Holy Spirit. And then we see Jesus, he ascends, and the disciples are left looking there, looking up, and they're just staring there, because it's assumed that they're just staring, looking up at the sky after Jesus entered the sky, thinking that, okay, he's probably going to come back down soon, right? and they're just left standing there. And it takes some angels to show up and go, hey guys, why are you standing there? Get moving. Jesus said to go wait in Jerusalem. Go to Jerusalem. And so they end up going to Jerusalem, and they're all in one place. And so their first act as a church body is that they have to make a decision who to replace with the death of Judas Iscariot, the person who betrayed Jesus. And so there were 12 disciples, and now there's only 11. And so they have to make a decision who's going to replace Judas. If you want to look that up in Acts chapter 1 or in Psalm 69, go ahead and look at it. Hopefully y'all read Acts chapter 1 already, so you know what I'm talking about. And so they're deciding on two people, and their names are Matthias and Joseph. And they were also probably part of the 72 disciples that Jesus had. So Jesus had 72 disciples, and in that 72 there were 12. And those 12 were really close with Jesus, and then there were 72 in that number that were not as close but were still disciples of Jesus. So these two people were probably part of that 72. And so they decide, you know what, guys, we're just going to throw lots, and whatever the lot falls on, that person will be the new disciple. Now, what's interesting to see here is that this is the last time lots are ever thrown to determine what God's will is in the moment. After that part, there's no mention of lots ever being thrown to determine what God is thinking or what God is trying to decide. Because you have to remember, this was before the Holy Spirit actually fell, so they didn't have that divine revelation of what God's will is right at that moment in time. And so they threw lots to determine which person was supposed to take Judas Iscariot's place. And the lot fell on Matthias, and we're not too sure who Matthias was. There's not much mention of him in the Bible, I think, other than this one part here. But he was added to the 12. So the 12 have been fully established, and they end up being the core council for the new church that is just starting to begin in Jerusalem. Okay. That's all we have for today. Hope y'all read Acts chapter 1. Again, read Acts chapter 2, and by next week, I'm going to have another video up, and we're going to be looking at what happened in Acts chapter 2. And this is when the big explosion happens and the Holy Spirit falls and all that good stuff. So stay tuned, and we'll see you later. And also, if you want to stay up to date with what we got going on here on our New Gen YouTube channel, be sure to click subscribe down below. And if you have any questions regarding theology or God or things that are going on in the world, just leave a comment down below also and ask a question. I'll try to address it in my next video. Okay, I'll see you later, guys. God bless. Pretty sure that's going to be in heaven. Oh, man.